evening, everyone, and welcome to our regular council meeting of April 28th, 2026. I now call the meeting to order at 5:32, and I would like to ask the clerk for the roll call, please.
Mayor Sidney.
Present.
Revimo.
Present.
Councillor Legree. Councillor McWhorter.
Present.
Councillor McDonald.
Present.
Councillor Sobalski.
Present.
Councillor Andrew Dick.
Present.
Mayor Sidney, we do have quorum.
Thank you very much. As we gather, we would like to acknowledge on behalf of council and our community that we are meeting on the traditional territory of the Algonquin people. We would like to thank the Algonquin people and express our respect and support for their rich history, and we are extremely grateful for their many and continued displays of friendship. We also thank all of the generations of people who have taken care of this land for thousands of years. Can I please have you stand for O Canada? Any declaration of interest? Hearing and seeing none. Moving on to public, there's no public meeting. On to delegations. We do have two delegations this evening. First, I'd like to invite Bruce Rosicki to come up to the table for request council's consideration towards subject matter experts. Reminding you, Bruce, about the 10-minute time. And council can ask clarifying questions at the end.
Thank you, Mayor Sidney, and good evening, everyone. I'm here to speak on subject matter experts. Next slide, please. So, the core responsibilities of a municipality in Ontario are infrastructure, protective services, community services, planning/development. This requires a diverse knowledge base and necessitates the use of expensive consultants and time-consuming research by staff. My proposal is that Renfrew develop a group of subject matter experts to help improve the quality of work, enhance service delivery, and provide a quick response to the challenges faced by our local community. A little background. Renfrew is blessed with numerous skilled, experienced residents. Many of them have the time and the motivation to assist staff and council. Ratepayers do not expect staff and council to be experts in everything. Renfrew could benefit from changes in how it operates. So what is a subject matter expert? A recognized expert in a particular discipline, a person with proven real-world practical understanding of business, someone with a deep specialized knowledge, a ratepayer with knowledge beyond general understanding, a dedicated resident willing to assist our town. And I've got a list of some local people that I know, or friends of friends, and they're all aware that I'll be mentioning their names here, as good examples of people that would qualify as an excellent subject matter expert in a variety of fields. And I'll start off with Andy Bolt, whom we all know well. Retired general manager of SCAPA, now known as MATIF, professional engineer. Andy is a top-notch business person. One of my neighbors, Deborah Wallace. She's a certified public accountant, MBA, worked for the federal government. Dennis Yakabak, one of my fellow Rotarians, one of the most experienced real estate people in our town. Scott Barnes, professional engineer, former VP of Research and Development with Scapa Tape. Andrea McCormick, and you would know Andrea from her many talks on amalgamation and such, where she's an expert. She's also an expert in municipal business processes. And Ed Bolt, master electrician, a very experienced project manager. Just some examples of people that would be willing to become a subject matter expert to assist the town. So subject matters are not people with decision-making authority, individuals with a bias on policy or current issues, part of an advisory committee, or politically motivated ratepayers. Some examples of local residents sharing their knowledge. We have there's just a list of some of the very effective historical and current boards and committees where local residents share their knowledge. In the past, with the town, we had Planning Advisory Committee. There's a Police Services Committee. The Promote Renfrew Group, Renfrew Public Library, Ottawa Valley Manufacturers Alliance, which goes back a number of years, but was very attractive, or very effective at assisting local business. Renfrew Power Generation Board, Renfrew Hydro Board, Hospice Renfrew Building Committee, and I highlighted that one. I was on that committee years ago when we were started to build a hospice in Renfrew, and it was a group of business owners, construction people, tradespeople, and we came together to massively reduce the cost of building our local hospice. It was a great experience for all of us. Renfrew Victoria Hospital, their board, Rotary Club Homes, Renfrew Library, the Economic Development Advisory Committee, Recreation and Community Service Committees. Like, I could go on and on and on with boards and groups that people volunteer their time to, and just shows the level of knowledge and experience we have in our town. So some of the benefits of subject matter experts: quick turnaround. Give someone a call and they can give you an answer very quickly. They could act as a mentor. You know, we have lots of young, well-educated, bright young people working here at the town, and I'm sure some of them have mentors, but there's lots of people out there that would love to help out some of these folks. We could communicate best practices, be a sounding board, provide timely responses to council, reduce consulting fees, help staff produce higher quality proposals, increase productivity, identify risks and alternatives. I've made a fairly extensive list of areas of expertise I think we could fill from our local community. And these are some of them are skill sets, some of them are professional services, change management, customer service, training, ethics, continuous improvement. I know in my career with Enbridge, continuous improvement was always at the top of the list. Real estate, water and wastewater, communications, trucks and heavy equipment, organizational process improvement, HVAC, emergency services, procurement, labor relations, finance, budgeting processes, information technology, utility construction, environmental, contract management, legal, health and safety, career development, and succession planning. Now, how the town can utilize subject matter experts. It could be on an ad hoc basis, one-off basis, whenever there's a need. It could be a member of a working group for a specific topic with a timeline. It could be for key processes like budgeting, projects like our water meter replacement, amalgamation of services, sale of assets. It could be to review a review of policies, processes, and procedures. Excuse me. So some examples from other municipalities in Ontario. And I've done a bit of research on this. Subject matter experts, and sometimes they're called citizen subject matter experts, are utilized to guide policy development for municipal council, review quarterly budget reports, evaluate project proposals, assist with planning and execution of specialized initiatives, be an on-call expert resource where there are staffing gaps, HR, IT, legal, provide ideas for environmental stewardship. And I got some of these examples from places like Kingston, Cobourg, Brampton, Pembroke, that have multiple boards, committees, and working groups, staffed by people from the community. So in summary, this proposal is not meant to disrespect the hard work of town staff and council. However, based on the results of the past few years, especially with property tax and sewer and water rate increases, there is room for significant improvement. Some of the current state processes are just not working, which suggests that a change in direction is needed. The use of subject matter experts could be part of the solution. So that's the end of my presentation. I just have a few comments to add. When I first thought about subject matter experts, and I have some experience from my career using folks like this, I bounced it off my friend Andy Bold. You know, Andy, what do you think of this? I actually had a chat with Councilor McDonald on it as well. I put together a presentation, and the first thing I did was let my wife have a crack at it. She's a math English teacher, retired. She corrected some of my sentence structure, my spelling and presentation. And after that, I sent it to my oldest daughter, Melissa, who's in communications with Hydro One. She tidied up the presentation, made it look quite a bit better than what I had made, what I'd come up with. I handed it off to my neighbor, Megan, who has a background in journalism and in the federal government, and she has some suggestions. My point here is that I had my own group of subject matter experts to put this presentation together. I had an idea, and I got people I knew that had skill sets to help me. And I think that's the whole point of this, that there's lots of people in this town that want to help. They don't need to be paid. They've got massive levels of experience. It's just a matter of how we tap into that and what form it takes. I think it would be a huge plus for council and for staff to have the ability to look down a list of names, and there's somebody that knows about construction vehicles, or there's somebody who knows about budgeting process. Give them a call. It's simply their opinion, their advice. Take it or not, but I think it would be very beneficial to the town to have a structure to this, so we could reach out to people in the town. And honestly, I've talked to a lot of people about this. People out there want to help. Times are not great here in Renfrew, obviously. We all know that. People want to get involved. And these are all people that have no political aspiration that I've mentioned here. They don't want to be on council, but they want to help.
Thank you. Any questions from council? Clarifying? Councilor McDonald?
Thank you, Mayor, through you. And I thank you for the presentation, and I do support the concept, and I understand the value that's there. With some of the background you did, was there costs associated with this? And the other part is with structure and accountability. What did you glean from when you were doing some of your research? Because I think there's value to it, but there's also a back end that'll have to be sorted out if it's going to be made viable, as far as I'm.
Well, my assumption, the people I've spoken to would not ask for any sort of compensation. And in terms of liability, some of the folks have professional accreditations. They would know the limit to the type of advice and assistance they could give. An engineer is not going to design a building for you and say, here you go. And a lawyer is going to possibly say, I think you should seek legal advice on that. Or may say, here's the simple solution. You may want to go down that path. There have to be a fair amount of work going into the rules of engagement and what sort of questions could be asked and what could be expected. But I think there's so much potential value in this that it's worth, developing terms of reference and to see if we could develop that group of people. To answer your question, Councillor? Yeah, okay.
Any other questions from council? Councillor Andrew Dick?
Thank you, and through you, Mayor Sidney. Thanks, Bruce. It was a great presentation. I agree with the concept. I like it. So just out of curiosity, I'm gonna phrase this question to you. So we have this list of experts. Why do we need to go down the rabbit hole of terms of references, a 20-page document, blah, blah, blah? Why can't we just keep it simple, have a list of names, and I'm just looking at Chief Guest, so I'm going to throw him under the bus. Chief Guest sees a guy who has 50 years of firefighter experience. Why can't Chief Guest just pick up the phone and talk to the guy? Because we all do that now. I do that in my job. I call my mentors. I call my advisors and I'm like, hey, what do you think of this? Like, and I'm sure we all do that. So why do we have to, and I'm just going to be honest and blunt, why do we have to wreck it with a 20-page document and 9 people are going to be around a table, no one's going to come to an agreement? Why can't we just have a list of people, and if Andrea or Janine or chief guest or any of them want to just pick up the phone, can we do it that way?
Well, I guess my question would be to you, I see no reason why you couldn't.
Okay.
Okay? I'm just going on past experience, how you typically operate. You do the terms of reference and you put it together. If you wanted to do just a list of people that are willing to volunteer their time, I think that it would be simplify it, and I think that would be excellent.
All right. I just wanted to know if that was part of your vision, and
No.
I think it is.
No, I didn't
you.
go too far down the route of how this would be implemented, because that's up to you folks how you do it.
And that's why I asked the question, because
Yeah.
it's important to me. Okay. Thank you very much, Bruce. Thank you, Mayor Sidney.
Okay, any other questions from council? Review?
Thank you, Bruce. I come from this background in my previous life, and I like the concept. My only, and I tread cautiously going forward towards implementation, because you need a bit of structure, as you probably guessed. In terms of how much information is released, when it's released, how sensitive is it? If it's a preliminary design on a road or a building, and the information leaks out, and somebody thinks that somebody leaked it to a prospective bidder, so you've got to have that kind of security on it. And again, then which committee or which series of experts have a primary role, or their opinions matter more than somebody else? Is it someone on finance? Do we take that as more direct, as opposed to someone who is an engineer or a process person? So those are the kinds of things. I think there has to be some structure put into it, simply because of the mechanics of it. And then the other piece is, I would think that we would need to have some kind of a structure in place to limit liability. Like what is the level of expertise first, and then, because I've put 10, 15 roofs on garages and houses over my lifetime, but that doesn't make me an expert, and I shouldn't be offering advice on it. So if somebody came to me and I, said, oh no, you don't need ice and water shielding, you can just go ahead and put shingles right on top of the old shingles. There's already 15 layers of shingles. I'm sorry, that's not the best practice. So, I think I would like to see us do something along this line, but I think we really have to go slowly with it and put into place some of the pieces. So I'm not being dismissive of it. Those are the kinds of questions that I'm going to bring forward to it as it rolls forward. But thank you for this. I like what you presented to us. It's just a matter of how to implement it properly. And protection, because there's also warranty around things like, if we go to a consultant and they screw up, there's the opportunity to sue them. If we go to a consultant and we ignore the consultant's advice and take somebody else's advice, you really don't feel good about suing your neighbor. So those are the kinds of things that, I think we have to figure out ahead of time.
Yeah, agreed, Revimo. I think where there's a lot of value is with processes, and I'll pick the budget process as an example. Like typically you'll have an open house where people will come and comment on the budget and the results and such. I think you need potentially to utilize some people with deep background in finance and budgeting that help design the process that you're going to use. As everybody's watched all the budget process here, and I look at the staff that must put in hundreds of hours, responding to the council and coming back and presenting things, and year over year, but frankly, it has not been all that successful from my point as a ratepayer. And I think the process, if you get some people that help with the budgeting process early on, right at the start, how you're actually going to do it, it's going to save a lot of your staff's time, honestly, and I think you potentially could have a lot better outcome. Business processes are what makes the world go round, including municipalities. And understanding best practices, understanding the types of processes that get the best results. I think that knowledge is out in our community. It's the people we live beside, the people we see at the grocery store. There's all kinds of people in this town that, a lot of them retired, that have a fantastic base of knowledge that could be in some way, and I understand your review, all your concerns are very valid, but it's worth making the effort. That's my point of this presentation. I think the effort should be made to tap into the resources of this town. Any other questions?
Any other questions? Hearing none. Thank you very much, Bruce.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Moving on to our next delegation, Michelle Gagnon, Renfrew County Community Futures Development Corporation, for an overview of service and support.
Hi.
Welcome. Just make sure that green light's on.
It is on.
Remind you of the 10-minute window we have for this.
Yep. Great, thank you. Thank you, everybody. I am Michelle Gagnon. I'm the Community Development Officer for Renfrew County Community Futures. And I want to thank you for welcoming us here today to present our program to you and hopefully raise awareness of what we do at RC CFDC. So next slide. Yes, thank you. The Community Futures Program is a national network funded by the Government of Canada, by FedDev. And there are 267 Community Future offices across Canada, including 60 in Ontario, and they're all focused on delivering local solutions for local economies. Here in Renfrew County, we've been doing this work since 1986. We're celebrating our 40th year anniversary this year. Supporting businesses, employment, and community economic development for almost 4 decades, or for 4 decades, actually. Our role and mandate is firstly to support business enterprises, community-based economic development, and employment growth. So we do this through a combination of financing, business counseling, and community economic development initiatives tailored specifically to the needs of Renfrew County. Our work is driven locally and decisions are made locally. We're governed by a volunteer board of directors. Also, a little shout out, we're looking for new board of director members. It's that time of year to recruit. And so one of our primary services is offering small business financing. So we provide loans up to $300,000 to support viable business ventures. And we encourage clients to explore traditional bank financing first, but where bank financing is not always available, we have a little bit more flexibility, and we try to help fill that gap. So our financing can support equipment and machinery, purchases, real estate acquisitions, business expansion, working capital, startup costs. And since the inception of our loan program, we have to update our slides actually. We have advanced over 54 million in loans, and we've leveraged over 47 million, and we've helped create and maintain over 6,000 jobs across Renfrew County. So these numbers reflect not just lending activity, but the broader economic impact of supporting local entrepreneurs. And what makes us different? There are a few key things that differentiate Renfrew County Community Futures from traditional financial institutions. First, loan applications are reviewed and approved locally, and all supervision and decision-making is handled in-house. This allows us to move efficiently and to consider the full context of a business and community. Second, we can often offer more flexible security requirements and payment terms than traditional lenders, while still maintaining responsible lending practices. And third, we provide financing to most industries, and we work closely with community partners to ensure businesses are connected to the supports they need to succeed. And in terms of our community economic development, we're actively involved in community economic development initiatives and on committees. We work alongside municipal leaders, community organizations, and other key stakeholders to develop community economic development plans, support value-added activities, encourage diversification and expansion into new sectors. And our goal is to strengthen the overall economic resilience of Renfrew County, not just to support our businesses. And we also offer free business counseling and support, which is something that I think a lot of people don't know about. So we offer one-on-one business advisory services, where you can consult my colleague, Megan Sutherland, for financial, cash flow, all of that kind of thing, or decisions on expansion. I help with marketing and that kind of thing. And we also often refer to our great partners at Enterprise Renfrew County, who have a lot of supports for businesses as well, and we work together as a team to provide as many services as we can to our local entrepreneurs. And all of these services are available to small and medium-sized businesses. And then to conclude, we're here as a partner for businesses, the municipalities, the broader community, and we welcome referrals, collaboration, and opportunities to work together to support economic growth locally. And feel free to reach out to us at info@rccftc.org, visit our website, give us a call. You can scan the QR code. And we also have a newsletter. If you'd like to subscribe, we send out our newsletter once a month, and in that you can find anything we come across that might help businesses or nonprofits with funding, grants, and of course news about what we're up to. That is the link for that.
Great, thank you. Any questions from council? Councillor Andrew Dick.
Thank you, Mayor Sidney, and through you. Thank you for the presentation very well. I just have a quick question. If you already own a small business, can you come and apply for a loan to expand your?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's another misconception, that people think that, it's only for startups, but it's for businesses at any phase.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Review?
Thank you very much. It's just two questions. I believe the board cannot have practicing politicians on it. I think you can only have members of the public.
For that, I am not entirely sure. I would have to get back to you on that. But
Okay.
if that is the case, and you know anybody who might be, just putting the word out there.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And then
But if you are interested, or you know somebody who is, you can reach out, and then we can consult the bylaws.
Okay, thank you. And the other question I have for you is I think I read somewhere or heard that your funding has flatlined, your administrative side of the funding that you receive from the government has flatlined over the last couple of years. Is that fair to say that? And having said that, is the board going to put forward a motion or a request for motions from local council and the local businesses to request an increase? I seem to think I heard somewhere in some venue that it's flatlined over the last 5 or 6 or maybe 10 years.
You might be confused. Well, we did suffer cutbacks like many organizations this fiscal year. So we're adapting to that, but we're continuing services as usual, so it's not going to impact that. You might be confusing us with Enterprise, no?
No, I'm aware of Enterprise's
Okay,
issues.
yeah.
Okay, and I could be wrong.
Yeah.
I read too much. Thank you.
Yeah, but we're still waiting on confirmation from our funders about some things. So, and then from there, we're going to strategize and see where this leads us. Yeah.
Good. You've obviously had if I may, Your Worship, you've had a long history with a great number of successes. When you look at over 5,000 jobs that have been created and maintained, so they're not one-offs. So they're good strategic investments. And so we're very fortunate to have you folks. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions from council? Hearing none. Well, thank you very much for your presentation. We appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to presentations. BT Engineering, Renfrew East Development Lands, Whitten Road Closure, EA Study Presentation. Welcome.
Yeah.
Hi.
Thanks for having us. I'm Darcy Dillon with BT Engineering. I'm the Vice President, and I'm here to present the East Development Lands and Whitten Road Closure Environmental Assessment Study that we worked on being retained by the town. Perfect. So we're here to present the project now that we're at the end and we have the study recommendations, hopefully to receive endorsement from council on the study recommendations, as well as to publish the integrated environmental study report, which is the final documentation of the study, and the notice of study completion. So just an overview of the project. So the lands here shown on the study area figure, and the integrated environmental assessment is to cover off two acts. So the land use planning for the East Development Lands is under the Planning Act, and then the Schedule C Municipal Class EA, and that's for the closure of the Whitten Road leg at the Highway 60 O'Brien Road intersection. And if you go to the next slide, part of the need justification is that in 2003 MTO completed an environmental assessment, and some of BTE staff were also on that project, and originally they had the Whitten Road leg of that intersection maintained, but through the transportation or master transportation plan for the town of Renfrew, we recommended the closure of that leg. So if you go to the next slide. So BTE also completed the master transportation plan for the town of Renfrew, and one of the recommendations was the closure to improve the network as well as safety and operations of the MTO interchange that is coming at O'Brien Road. So this is, we call this a good eye test. This is the whole process of the Municipal Class EA that we completed the study under. So we started with a draft study design. We had two public open houses to present the alternatives as well as the recommendations to the public, and we're here today to hopefully post the notice of study completion to start on May 4th for a 30-day public review. And next slide. And then just another eye test. So the integrated environmental assessment process, this kind of shows the flow chart of the environmental assessment as well as the planning study for the overall lands of the project. So we did include consultation. It's a requirement of the Municipal Class EA for these kinds of projects. We had a steering committee, two public consultation centers with the public. There was information posted on the town's website, and then newspaper notices. And we also consulted with Indigenous peoples, offering to meet them at milestones. And we provided the Stage 1 archaeological assessment, which is one of their main interests in projects like this. Go to the next slide. So we completed an analysis and evaluation of alternatives. We had two steps. The first one was the closure of Whitten Road. So if you go to the next slide, we looked at two alternatives. One, if you look at it, it's really the connection of Innovation Drive to Whitten Road and then Gillen Road to the south. So in our evaluation, we tried to identify the best balanced solution for this alternative. So we chose alternative 1B, which provides a continuous road from Innovation Drive to Gillen Road and then down to the future interchange to the south. So that's all documented in a report. And then we also have, this would be the closure that Whitten Road at the O'Brien Road. There would be a cul-de-sac, so there is a property there, and we did have the property owner come to the public meeting, and we did speak to them. They had no objections to these recommendations. And it also does provide an interim connection, so you can see it between Innovation Drive and like the future connection, to provide a more continuous route until the long-term planning for the road network would be developed by the town. So after we chose alternative 1B, we looked at the land use and transportation alternatives. So if you go to the next slide. So we did look at, there's 4 alternatives. This shows 2 of them. The colorful slides show the land uses. So these were developed by the town planning to define the land uses, mixed residential, industrial, commercial. And then if you go to the next slide, these are the other 2 alternatives. So it's integrated between the transportation network and the land use planning alternatives. And then next slide. So as part of the evaluation, we looked at a wide range of criteria that differ between those 4 alternatives. And through our evaluation, we chose alternative 2D, which is on the next slide as well, but it provides a balanced solution between transportation, minimizing environmental impacts as best as we can, and then a balanced objective with the land use plan. So if you go to the next slide, this shows the future road network as well as the land use plan for the recommendations. We didn't receive any public objections to the project, and this would allow the town to have future development as it comes on board, and to have the plan that you guys can speak to developers if they come forward with site applications. You guys have a road network that they could connect to as a future project. So then next slide. Part of the recommendations also included the O'Brien Road and the Froat Street intersection. So the recommended plan would be to be a roundabout there as well. So it provides design consistency with the new roundabout that's also just online on O'Brien Road. BT also completed the design with JP2G for that project. So that is also part of the recommendations that would be included in the environmental study report. If you go to the last slide. So we're here with the recommendations that we've shown to have the 30-day public review May 4th to June 5th. What would come from that is we would send letters to the contact list. It includes public, agencies, stakeholders, as well as Indigenous peoples. The integrated environmental assessment report would be posted to the town's website in an accessible format, as well as also a hard copy at Town Hall if people wanted to come and flip through the pages there. And then future steps would be to complete the Stage 2 archaeological assessment. It wasn't complete as part of this because there's coordination required with property owners for plowing. It's the specific type of archaeological assessment that needs to be completed next, but that would be our project.
Great, thank you. Any questions from Council? Councillor McDonald.
Thank you, Mayor, through you. With regard to slide number 17, the intersection of Froats and O'Brien, with the traffic circle, it looks like we're taking over an existing business that's there. Have you had any contact with them with regard to input?
We did, and we do have correspondence included in the final report. We believe the house would not be, or like the building would not be impacted, but there would be lands required for the roundabout. Yeah.
Any other questions? Rebimo?
Just a couple of comments. When I look at 1B, alternative 1B, could I suggest that you add the sprung structure that's behind One Innovation Drive? It's missing off of here before you go to public.
Yes, yep.
And because there's an entrance going into it.
Okay.
And then the other question is, it says watercourse realignment. It's been my experience the Ministry of Natural Resources is a little iffy on that. Do you think that would be done easily?
So if you want to go to the slide, I guess 16.
Okay.
Well, it might not be, oh yeah, the watercourse realignment. So there would be some future studies that would be required when like the detailed design for that section would be completed. We have done some watercourse realignments as part of some of our other projects, and we work closely with the ministries and Indigenous peoples because they do have an interest in watercourse features. That would be a detail that would be defined at a later stage.
the traffic circle that's suggested for floats, it would seemingly be a little less expensive to just realign that roadway so that it would go between the existing building and the with traffic lights there and the animal hospital, because that's not much of an alignment. And I point you to Eddy Street and Daniel and Armpire, which is a similar alignment, and it was done at a lot less money than I think the traffic circle would be in terms of encroaching on either Tim Hortons, which is a high volume business, and then also the other company across the road. So I'm not sure that I don't feel comfortable with that design because I think it adds more expense. And then I guess if we're able to realign the other water course, why wouldn't we realign that water course that runs past Froats? Because it doesn't make sense to take away from somebody's parking lot unless you're pushing them onto a secondary road, and that's not the impression I have from these drawings. So that's my only comment.
Yes, we did complete a transportation study and traffic study as part of it, and it does consider the future interchange and like the twinning of Highway 17. So part of the recommendations was to implement a roundabout so that it has continuous flow and for traffic operations and safety at that intersection. We recommended a roundabout there.
Review?
Would it be a 2-lane roundabout or just a one lane? Because if we're worried about traffic flow and I agree with the other roundabouts because I think the property configurations along the route allows that. When you look at Mason, and then you look again at O'Brien and at the water, Gillen, sorry, they both have significant properties there that I think would make it work. But I just don't see how it could work with Froats without being pretty disruptive in terms of taking some of the parking lot from that existing business and the high volume of traffic coming in and out of the Tim Hortons, and it's only going to get more traffic coming in and out of there. Plus, you've got some more fairly significant commercial development in there as well. So I'm nervous about that one, to be honest with you.
Yep. So part of the EA is to define the property requirements that would be needed for that intersection. So the details of the roundabout would be completed during detailed design, but it would allow the town to acquire property as needed for that roundabout. So that would be a future step that the town would have to do.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Any other questions from council? Hearing none. Thank you very much. We appreciate your time and your work. Thank you. And just for a note, you don't have to stay if you...
Yeah.
You're more than welcome to if you want, but...
Yeah.
Moving on to announcements and community events. I do have some announcements. Today, April 28th, marks the National Day of Mourning, a time to remember and honor those workers who have been killed, injured, or made ill due to the workplace incidences. It is also a moment to reflect on the importance of health and safety in every workplace. This morning, myself and other members of council, Reeve Emo, Councillor Andrew Dick, and District Labour Council, at the Workers' Memorial located by the Swinging Bridge in O'Brien Park, participated in the service. It was an opportunity for us to all come together to pay our respects and reaffirm our commitment to safe and healthy workspaces for all. So thank you very much, Councillor Andrew Dick and Reeve Emo, for attending. Candidate information packages for the 2026 municipal election are now available at Renfrew.ca. The website includes the full candidate guide, nomination details, campaigning rules, and key deadlines to help you get started. Endorsement of nomination form 2 is now available, and prospective candidates can begin collecting the required 25 endorsement signatures. The town will continue to add resources for candidates to this section of the website as they become available, and you can visit our website for more information or contact clerks at renfrew.ca. The Renfrew Downtown BIA Great Downtown Garage Sale takes place this Saturday morning. Come and browse the beautiful downtown for the sale. If you're looking to sell items at the garage sale, please, spaces are still available at $10 per household. Please reach out to Wanda at the BIA office to book your spot, and I hope to see you there. The town of Renfrew currently has a call out for local performers, and we're still accepting applications for the 2026 event opportunities until the end of day tomorrow. Performers are being considered for town events such as Canada Day, the Craft Beer and Food Truck Festival, and Music in the Park. Please email programs@renfrew.ca for more information or to apply. The town of Renfrew is proud to share that items from the McDougall Mill Museum Lou Mulvihill Sledge Hockey exhibit permanently housed at the BEI Arena will be featured at the Ontario Legislative Building. This special display will be on an exhibit through the end of 2026, giving thousands of visitors each the opportunity to learn about Lou's incredible impact and contributions to the sport of sledge hockey. And we want to thank our staff member, Glenn Charon, for his work in getting this exhibit opened and sharing an important piece of Renfrew's history with visitors from across Canada and around the world. And a couple more. The Bonnechere River Trail Group is looking for some volunteers to assist with improving challenging sections of the Bonnechere River Trail to make it more user-friendly. A group will be out working on the trail throughout the spring, and we would love to have additional hands. Please consider joining us and getting your hands dirty. High school students can earn community service hours by volunteering as well. For more information, please contact Amanda Springer on our town at our town's website. And a couple more things. This Friday at 10 o'clock, we will be raising the flag for Community Living Month, so we just want to honor that. And this Sunday also is Hike for Hospice, their annual major fundraiser, taking place on May 3rd. So thank you. Any other announcements? Hearing none. All right. Moving on to Committee of the Whole. The Renfrew Town Council convene as Committee of the Whole to consider reports for recommendations to Council. Mover, please. Councillor McDonald, second by Councillor McWhirter. All in favor? We are now in Committee of the Whole. Moving on. The Committee of the Whole received the grants to community partners, awarded applications, first intake report as information. Mover, please. Councillor McDonald, second by Clint McWhirter. Councillor McWhirter. That was a slip. I will now, I'm just trying to find that. Acting Director Fraser, you're up.
Thank you, through you, Mayor. So the Grants to Community Partners Committee did recently meet to do the first intake of grant applications, and we awarded the following. $2,500 to Renfrew Rotary Club, $5,000 to Renfrew Lions Club, $1,500 to Renfrew and Seniors Home Support, $5,000 to Special Olympics Renfrew, $200 to Renfrew County Regional Science and Technology Fair, and $2,900 to the Renfrew Curling Rink. We also awarded an in-kind donation of 50% waiver of the Home Hardware Gymnasium to Stephanie's Place. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions or comments, Councillor McDonald?
Thank you, Mayor, through you. More along the lines of the criteria, do the applicants submit the amount of money they would like? Like, there's a wide variety here between $200 and $5,000. How does that sort out at your end? Thank you.
Thank you, through you, Mayor. So yes, they do submit up to a total of $5,000 of what they are looking for. So that one that's $200 requested $200.
Thank you. Any other questions? All in favor? That's carried. Thank you, Council. Moving on to Development and Environment. That the Committee of the Whole recommend that Renfrew Town Council adopt OPA number 16 as amended with comments from Algonquins of Ontario, and that the amending bylaw be brought forward to Council for adoption, and further that staff be directed to forward the adopted OPA number 16 to the County of Renfrew for approval. Mover, please. Councillor Sobalski, second by Reeve Emo. And I will now turn it over to, is he online? I'm just going to bring somebody in online.
I'm available, Mayor. It's Forbes Simon.
Yep, Forbes, you can go ahead.
Thank you very much, Council. Sorry I'm not with you this evening. I was double booked. The Council, you've gone through all the work associated with doing the review and the update and doing consultation on the update to your official plan. I believe it's now at a point where it's It's available for your consideration to adopt it. There were a few tweaks that I reviewed with the CAO from comments from the Algonquins of Ontario that clarify matters related to archaeological assessments. Doesn't change the intent or dynamics of the policy, but it does clarify a few points they requested. Once council is satisfied with the amendment and you adopt the official plan amendment, it does go to Renfrew County for final approval. Mayor, those are my comments. I'm happy to answer any questions that council may have.
Great. Thank you. Any questions from council? Hearing none. Well, thank you for joining us, Forbes.
Thank you very much, and you have a great evening.
Okay, thank you. All in favor? Opposed? That's carried. How many is it? 5-1. Moving on to community improvement plan. That the Committee of the Whole receives the Committee Improvement Plan CIP review, scope direction report as information, and direct staff on the preferred approach for the CIP review based on the options noted. Mover, please. Review, second by Councillor McDonald, and I will turn it over to Technician Rathwell.
Good evening, and through you, Mayor. So tonight we are coming to Council to look for direction for the Community Improvement Program. We currently have a Community Improvement Program in place, but it has been since 2015 that we've had it. So we're looking to do an overhaul of it, and there's two options that we have. We can do a scoped review or we can do a full review. So our current CIP program includes a couple different grant programs in it, facade building, signage improvement grants, property and landscaping, accessibility improvement grants, planning and building permit fee grant, the tax increment equivalent grant. So going forward, we would like to see added in the heritage aspect and housing affordability. So that's what we would see brought in if we did a scoped review. And then if we did a full review of the program, then we would do an overhaul of the entire program, including the boundary areas. We would still like to see those other aspects of the grants added in as well. Also, we'd like to align it with the County of Renfrew has a program called the HYPE program. It's called, or it stands for Helping Your Place Excel. So it's a financial incentive that's eligible to municipalities, including the town of Renfrew, and it's to work in partnership with them, and they some projects are eligible to receive up to 50% of the project costs. So once we approve it, we can submit it to them, to the county, for more financial assistance. So council has previously approved a budget of $50,000 to undertake the review of the community improvement plan. We've currently reached out to people on the consultants on our existing standing offer list, to assess what the prices would be between the scoped review and a full review. So the average cost, these are excluding HST, but for a scoped review is approximately $30,000, and for a full review it would be closer to $46,000. So those are the two options that we are looking for direction from. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions from council? Rebimo?
So much a question, I'm sorry, but I would like to recommend that council consider the second option, because I really think that by including a housing component in the new CIP, that aligns us with the provincial initiatives. And if we're ever going to get any money into this community, and I'm not making any promises or suggesting we will, because maybe our market's too small, but any of the affordable housing programs, I think this allows, again, another box to be checked. We have the MOU with the County of Renfrew about the fees should affordable housing come in. this also would allow an alignment, as Ms. Brathwell has said, with the county program as well, where there is some funding there, and it would match up with that as well. So I think you have to check every box in order to access federal and provincial funding, and I think this is a means of doing that. So I would like council to consider option 2.
Okay. Any other questions or comment? Councillor McDonald.
Thank you, Mayor, through you. And more of a comment, I'm interested what the others think of this. And is it an option? I think Director Withers stated it's something he could do, or acting CAO, that he could accomplish in-house. Is this something that we could wait until we determine what's going on with the CAO position and potentially handle it in-house? And I'm just, Reid, maybe a comment on that? Thank you.
I think my last conversation with him was some months back, and he thought some of the portions could be, like once the contractor that was let, then there was the opportunity to negotiate some things he thought he could do inside. One of the things we talked about was partnering or pairing with another municipality in Ontario of similar size and have their planning department review some of the things that we're putting forward, and he in turn could then offer that service to them. But I don't know how far he's gone down the road with that, given his other duties. So there was some conversation about being able to do some things in-house, but then also to make a promise to do something with somebody else, because a lot of this information should be peer reviewed, and it's either pay for it or contra it. Is that the correct term, contra? Thank you.
Councillor Andrew Dick.
Thank you, Mayor, sending through you. So, question then. In the 2026 budget, this was approved, the $50,000 is put away. Okay. I guess it's a comment. So we're going to spend, I know we've already approved it, but here's my thought process. We're going to spend $30,000 to $45,000 for review, and then what happens if they come back and say, no, you're doing good? So do we just spend $45,000 to be told we're doing good? Like, somebody needs to break this down to me, because I get that we've already approved the $50K, but to spend this kind of money just to be told we're doing okay? We should have been consultants. Yeah, someone needs to help me out on this, because I'm just being honest. It's like, it's non-stop consultants. When are we going to give something back to the people of Renfrew? Someone needs to help me out on this.
Acting Director Springer.
Thanks.
Through you, Mayor, just to clarify, we use the word review, but it is really an update. There will be changes. There is not a situation where they will be just handing us back the same document.
Review.
Yeah, and if I might add, a review, as the acting director noted correctly, is not just, it's not a report card. What it is were the fees that were given out, the grants that were given out in the past, were they utilized properly? Should we change the context of when we grant? Is there enough signage and facades that have been redone that maybe that can be taken out of it? Should it be turned inside the door so that people can use it to upgrade their cash computer system? I'm not sure. It's, that's beyond my scope, but it should bring forward what the sector is doing across the province, and maybe even out of the U.S. or wherever else. But it's meant to update it, because it's now, I believe, 10 years old, and everything changes in 10 years. It may say use more AI. I'm not sure what it's going to say. So it's meant to keep us current. And as I've indicated, I think the housing side of it has to be addressed as well, because it is expensive to renovate your garage and put in an apartment. So there would likely need to be some grant funding for something like that.
Councillor Anderdick?
Thank you, Mayor Sidney, and through you. So I guess I have two questions. The first question is why can't we do this in-house?
Acting Director Springer?
Through you, Mayor, as has been previously noted by our planner, who is now taking on the acting CAO role, he does not have the capacity at this time to do that. That's my response.
Next question, Mayor
Second
Sidney.
question.
Thank you. What's the ROI on this to the town of Renfrew?
Through you, Mayor, I don't think that is a question I can answer right now, nor one that might be able to be quantified in a number. There is intrinsic value as well in supporting businesses.
Review?
So what I'd like to do, Councillor Andrew Dick has raised a couple of good questions. One is the ROI. I'm not sure that's an easy calculation, and so it may be best to table it, so that you can come back in a month's time with a little broader context, and maybe we can talk about maybe there is a partnership with another municipality to then gain some more insight. The ROI, I think in my simple world, it's we put in $10,000, somebody else puts in $10,000, and so you'd have to go back through to see what all of the the grants were over the past 10 years, and then find out what the matching contribution was, and then there's got to be some kind of a formula beyond that. But in the simple world, that's what I would suggest. So I would suggest tabling this, Your Worship, for at least a month. Oh,
To
defer.
defer.
My apologies.
So you'd like to put a motion forward to defer?
Yes, I do. Oh,
Sorry?
you want to? Oh,
No.
I'll take a couple seconds to review my wording and allow my friend to have a conversation.
Go ahead, Councillor Anderdick.
Thank you, Mayor Sidney, and through you. So I'm okay with, so personally, I don't know what my fellow councillors say. I'm okay. I'm just frustrated with with this situation. However, in saying that, I get we've already approved it. I understand that part. We could have fought it at that time, okay? The staff has done a lot of work to getting to where they are now. They're ready to go. I'm okay to vote on this tonight if my fellow councillors are. If they're not, I'm okay to defer it. I'll let them speak on that part.
Councillor McDonald.
Thank you, Mayor. I would lean towards deferring it. I'd rather have the CAO here to ask some questions to, especially if it's an acting CAO position right now. And I believe that there's an option potentially down the road that we may be able to do it in-house. I'd like to get clarification with regard to that.
Councillor Sobalski.
Thank you. Through you, Mayor. I feel it's a lot of work for staff to do this. I think this is one of the items that we should be looking at maybe using our consultants for. And again, we've had many CIP talks in this room, and I've been one of the guys on the other side. I feel that we have new boundaries, new areas that we have to look at, and I think that we can put new parameters on this if it goes through a proper review. We have another item on the agenda tonight that's here for their third or fourth draw. Is that something that we should be looking at in the review, like how many times a repeat customer can come? I think that the opportunity to have a wholesome review, to tie into what the county's doing and some other applications, this might be money well spent. Although, there's potentially $46,000 sitting there that could be going towards a Main Street facade this year that we could be putting to people that do need it immediately. It could give us a better wholesome idea of what we should be putting our money to. We might even get a little bit of an ROI opportunity on what an updated review could be. I think that we should personally plunge forward and just kind of let someone bring us items, and it gives us an opportunity to have a discussion about whether we like what they've done, and maybe we can help guide them on some new parameters on what should be done. But I'm not necessarily in favor of pushing this down the road. I'd like to kind of get it on the board and get going. That's just where I stand.
Councillor McWhorter.
Mayor, I'm in favor of item 1. I think an update is all we really need. I think it would, with all that's going on with housing and all that, it would be prudent to do an update because things have changed pretty much on the fly in the last few months. So I'm okay with item 1. I don't think we need the whole full review. I think we're okay with this way there.
Councillor Anderdick.
Thank you, Mayor Sidney, and through you, and thank you to everybody for giving their input, and that's why sometimes I don't understand some things, and listening to everybody talk, it kind of brings into perspective. Listening to the staff and listening to my fellow councillors, I'm in favor of going with 2, due to the fact, Revimo said it perfect. Fingers crossed that there's something there in 3-5 years where we can apply for something. We know the grants come down the pipe, and hopefully our staff can say, hey, we have this, we did this study, and you know what, for an extra $15,000, that $15,000 might turn into hundreds of thousands of dollars in 5 years down the road. We don't know. So we have the opportunity now, the staff's ready to go. Everybody's made some good points. I'm in favor of option 2. Thank you.
Okay, so we have 2 options, and I need a motion for one of them. Or defer. It wasn't seconded, so it's not on the table. So
I'll make a motion, then we move with option 2.
Okay, do I have a seconder for that? Councillor Anderdick. Any further discussion? All in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4. Opposed? That's carried 4-2. Moving on to E.2.3. That the Committee of the Whole recommends that Renfrew Town Council approve a CIP grant and authorize the execution of a financial incentive program agreement with Stephen Bennett, H&R Block, and Joe Bennett, Renfrew Reset, in relation to a facade, building, and signage improvement grant for the property located at 142 Raglan Street South, having roll number 47-48-000-055-11400, in the amount equal to $5,000. Mover, please. Councillor Cebulski, seconded by Revimo, and I will turn it back over to Technician Rathwell.
Thank you, and through you, Mayor. So as stated, this is an application that came forward from the tenants at 142 Raglan Street South, Stephen Bennett of H&R Block and Joe Bennett of Renfrew Reset. They filed an application for a building facade improvement grant. They're proposing to remove the degraded stucco exterior and replace it with tile work. And additionally, they're proposing to replace the damaged wood trim with black aluminum trim to complement the historical brickwork. In the report attached as Appendix A is a photo of their proposed work. It should be noted that the proposed improvements are limited just to the ground floor commercial rental units. It's intended to enhance the appearances of these commercial spaces. The works are specifically focused on the facades and do not extend nor provide direct benefit for the residential apartments located above. We currently have a $20,000 budget for community improvement programs, and so far to date there have been no applications made. So they are looking for the maximum amount, which is $5,000, and if it is approved through council, then we will apply through the HYPE program that I previously mentioned to the County of Renfrew, where if it's approved through them, they provide 50% to the municipality. So we would pay out our portion, and then the county would, if it's approved, would pay us back our portion. So the options available are to approve the application, deny it, or defer the application. Thank you.
Any questions? Councillor McDonald.
Thank you, Mayor, through you. And I guess I'll just give my opinion. I'm not in favor of this because I believe, and I stand to be corrected, that location has already had some financial assistance with regard to that building. I understand it's a different, it's a tenant that's coming forward, but the reality is they have the authorization from the owner of the building. So like I stated, I believe we're already given financial incentives through a separate program. And then it gets into, do we have any protocol or bylaws with regard to limiting that? And if we don't, maybe that's something we should look at. But just because we have different programs, I don't think it's appropriate to have an original owner accessing all of them. I'm not in favor of this. I think we've already done our due process with regard to assisting them, so I'm just not in favor of this one. Thank you.
Review?
I'm reluctant as well, and for a different reason. When I look at the entrance stage in our block, I'm wondering, can they not do something about the accessibility there? I see that they're changing, you know, they talk about Stone Effects anti-slip coating on the walking surfaces, so I agree with that, and I'm glad to see that. But I look at Reset, it's at great, it goes into the front entrance without a lip. And then when I look at the new rendering for H&R Block, it's still to my eye, about a 4-inch or 5-inch step. So, you know, I would like, if I'm to consider this, I would like to see something done with that. And maybe the building code doesn't allow that steep a ramp. I don't know, but I'd like to know more about that before I'd even consider it. Thank you.
Councillor Cebulski.
Thank you, through you, Mayor. And listening to my fellow councillors, and again, as mentioned before, the CIP grants are something that we keep a tight eye on, right? I can only ask that maybe next time if a report comes forward that we do have the history of CIP grants that have been provided to the building throughout its years or its tenures, whether different owners or tenants. I think it kind of gives us a scope of what's going on there. Just helps make the decision, and if that's the reason for my wants for the wholesome review, is to potentially add these parameters in there for you know, just so everyone has a fair playing field. I'm on the fence about this one, honestly. I'm open to other opinions.
Councillor Renfrew.
Thank you, Mayor Sidney, and through you. So here's the way I look at. Oh, yeah, I said through you, Mayor Sidney. Here's the way I look at it. We have a bylaw that's in place. We have a CIP grant for $20,000. That's what we put aside for situations like this. Staff has informed us that we are now almost in May and we've had no applications. This is our first applications. So I can't remember who said it, but someone said it needs to be a fair playing field. Well, no one's playing. They're the only people that applied. I hear what everybody's saying, but it's in. If we want to change things, we can't change it because these individuals applied. We have to change it at a different level if we don't want to see these things coming forward. I'm all for, I've looked at the pictures. It's absolutely beautiful what they want to do. They're asking for $5,000 from a grant that we have approved, that we have bylaws. So why would we say no? We put the plan in place, and why are we saying no now? So we should have said no back in the day when we wanted to do this. We should have said, no, we don't want to do it. So I look at this, and if we want to change it, we need to look at it higher up, not now. I'm in favor of this, and yeah, it'll just beautify our town so much more, and it's right across from the town hall. So they're willing to put a lot of money into it. They're just asking for a little bit. That's why the CIP grant's there. That's why our staff does their job. I'm in favor of this. Thanks.
Any other questions or comments? Councillor McWhorter.
Mayor, I'm just trying to understand, Councillor McDonald said this, is this the second time they've applied for something for the facade, or is this the first time they've ever applied for anything? Just a little confused on that. Again, the history would have been nice too. But
Technician Rothwell.
Thank you, through you, Mayor. So this is a separate applicant, same property, separate applicant, and the CIP program does clarify that they can have multiple applications because it could be staged work. They can apply through different stages of their project. So these people have not applied for previous CIP. The building itself has previously. They originally applied for a building facade grant, which was granted, but then they wanted the TEAG, the tax equivalent grant. So when council proceeded with that, we pulled back their building facade one because the CIP program specifically states that you cannot have a TEAG grant and a building facade. You can have one or the other. And at the time, it wasn't realized that that was the implication of the program. So we took away their building facade grant and they have the TEAG grant. But this applicant is separate applicant, same property, different grant, which the CIP program states that they can do.
Well, if I may, so let's say we approve this, can next year they come along and say we're doing something else and someone else at the building under a different name apply again? Like how many times can they come back to the town for money for the same building?
So through you, Mayor. So depending on if we do the CIP review and what comes of it and what the program will then, the rules will be, as our current CIP program allows for you to have multiple grants, apply for multiple grants for building facade, but you can't do the TEAG and building facade.
Okay, if I may, I agree with Councillor Dick. We have money. We have we budgeted for money to give for this sort of thing, but I'm not in favor of repeat customers for the same thing. We only have so much money. We have no pot of gold at the back that we can just be doling out money. I'd sooner see the money we have left in that program to go to other applicants. I don't think it's fair we give all the money to the same building. I just don't agree with that.
Councillor McDonald.
Thank you, Mayor, and through you. And I just want to confirm, so we had two options before, which they applied for. And from what I'm understanding, it was conditional at that time that if they've got the one, we took away the other. Now they're coming in through, it's the same owner, and they're coming in through the tenants requesting the same thing that we were removed from them before. Is that correct? And then I have a second one.
Technician Rathwell?
Through you, Mayor. No, it's different application, like different work that they want done. The original one was for the job, like what they've already done to the building, the painting, all the other exterior work that was already done. This is specifically for the tenants who've moved in, the commercial tenants who've moved into those spaces that want to do the ground floor. So the original application was other works that was done on the upper apartments, exterior work, yeah.
Any other questions? I'm going to jump in here. I know that, we talk about beautification and trying to make our downtown look inviting and, wanting people to invest. And currently it looks horrible. And I think what they want to do to it looks beautiful. Also, if I was an owner of a building on Main Street that had tenants up above but retail on the bottom, and one business leaves, and another business that's totally different comes in, does that mean we can't help that business because it's the same building? So I hear what everybody's saying, but and yes, the building does benefit from it, but so do we as far as the look. It makes the downtown look better. We want to attract new businesses. And if we keep buildings that, continue to look the way they do now, that's not very inviting in my opinion. But I do agree with Reeve Emo's point. I'd like to look into that ramp if that's something that could be talked about. That would be great. Yeah, that's my 2 cents. So we do have a motion on the floor. And the motion is that the Committee of the Whole recommends that Renfrew Town Council approve a CIP grant and authorize the execution of a financial incentive program agreement with Stephen Bennett, H&R Block, and Joe Bennett, Renfrew Reset, in relation to a facade building and signage improvement grant for the property located at 142 Raglan Street South, having a roll number 47-48-000-055-11400 in the amount equal to $5,000. We do have a mover and a seconder. Revimo?
So I'd like to amend it with the understanding that they provide a revision which allows for access to the H&R Block side.
With accessible access?
Yes. Because I don't think we can go ahead and approve it and make that demand and still say, oh, sorry, you didn't do your due diligence, or you didn't provide enough information, so we're not going to give it to you. So I think if that's included in the motion, words to that effect, then that's a condition I think that's got some validity.
Clerk Barrett?
Just to clarify through you, Mayor, is that an additional wording? If you're going to amend the motion, it needs to be additional wording into the motion, or a separate motion?
No, I would add to the motion and that the applicant provide changes to the application which reflects street level access for all into the H&R Block side.
Clerk Barrett?
Through you, Mayor, and just on a quick governance thing before this gets put on the table, there is a separate accessibility CIP program, and I just want to make sure that council's within their right to ask them to do something on their private property. Okay.
Okay. So, Councilor Anderdick.
Thank you, Mayor Sidney. So respectfully, I 100% do not agree with Revimo's worded motions and, oh, sorry? Go ahead, Revimo.
No, you need a seconder before we talk
Sorry,
about
yeah,
it.
you're right.
So do we have a seconder for that amendment? We do not have a seconder. Okay. So, all right. So we do have the motion up. We do have a mover and a seconder. Any further questions on that? All in favor? Opposed? It's a tie. That is defeated. Moving on to finance. That the Committee of the Whole recommend that Renfrew Town Council.
Sorry, was that sorry?
Yes, that was defeated.
Sorry, Mayor Sidney, it was defeated.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
That the Committee of the Whole recommends that Renfrew Town Council execute a letter of agreement with the Ministry of Transportation to receive the 2026 dedicated gas tax funding of $245,313 in support of public transportation, and further that the town's grant to Sunshine Coach of $15,000 for each 2025 and 2026 be completed. Mover, please. Councillor McWhorter, seconded by Councillor McDonald. And I will now turn it over to the Treasurer.
Thank you. Through you, Mayor. This report authorizes the town to sign a letter of agreement with the Ministry of Transportation to receive provincial funding to support public transportation. And this occurs on an annual basis, and the signed letter is provided to the Ministry of Transportation prior to April 30th to be fulfilled. So this report is to request authority to sign. The dedicated gas tax funds for public transportation program letter is attached to the report, and then it would be then signed by the clerk and the head of council if it was once it's passed.
Thank you. Any questions? Hearing none. All in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Thank you, Council. Moving on to Emergency and Protective Services. That the Committee of the Whole recommend that Renfrew Town Council approve the recommended amendments to the Town of Renfrew's workplace violence, harassment, and sexual harassment and discrimination policy, the wellness policy, and the health and safety policy, and further that the appropriate bylaws be brought forward for approval. Mover, please. Councilor Revimo, seconded by Councilor McWhorter, and I'll turn it over to Director/Chief Guest.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and through you to all of Council. As Council is aware, there is a policy review schedule. As such, we have 3 policies for your consideration tonight. Under the Ontario Occupational Health and Safety Act and regulations, an employer shall not only prepare these documents, but also the policies must be reviewed as often as necessary, or at least annually. At the Corporate Joint Health and Safety Committee meeting on February 19th of this year, each of these 3 policies were reviewed. The proposed changes to the wellness policy and the workplace violence and harassment policy were administrative in nature and consisted primarily of updating the contact information. The proposed revisions to the health and safety policy were more substantive and were made to better align the policy with current legislation, meeting the Occupation Health and Safety Act. The revised policy introduces formal definitions, which will help to improve the clarity regarding whom this policy applies to and the respective responsibilities. The revised health and safety policy also includes a new appendix containing the corporation's formal health and safety statement. The appendix was added to separate the employer's signed statement of commitment from the rest of the policy, making this document easier to review and to update. So with these changes, staff are recommending Council direct staff to bring forward the updated policies and relevant bylaws for adoption at the next Council meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions from Council? Hearing none, all in favor? That's carried. Thank you, Council. Moving on to Infrastructure Public Works. That the Committee of the Whole recommend that Renfrew Town Council authorize staff to proceed with award of the Monroe-Harry reconstruction project to Lemieux Excavating, Inc. in the amount of $3,497,000, excluding HST. Mover, please. Councilor McWhorter, seconded by Councilor McDonald. Turn it over to Manager Shower, please.
So some time ago, Monroe Avenue East and Harry Street were identified as being in poor condition and at the end of their useful life. As part of the 2026 budget, $5.3 million was budgeted for the reconstruction of the 2 roads. In March of this year, the project was posted by the town for bidding. 4 bids were received and 3 were deemed acceptable, with Lemieux Excavating being the low bid at approximately $3.5 million. Due to staff having no working relationship or past working relationship with Lemieux, and as outlined in the tender documents, the town requested Lemieux Excavating provide references of prior work experience. Lemieux provided 4 reference projects demonstrating similar types of work, but none of similar magnitude. Additionally, no projects with Lemieux Excavating acting as a general contractor were provided. There was 3 options being proposed to committee. 1 is award to Lemieux Excavating, 2 is award to another bidder, and 3 is do not award, with the town's recommendation at this time being to award to Lemieux.
Thank you. Any questions? Councilor McDonald.
Thank you, Mayor, and I'm through you. I'm going to have a few. Can I reference them? Okay, thank you. I guess page 2, with regard to the first paragraph, to me, there's a bunch of issues here that I have. It's the second and third paragraph under the 3 that were recommended. We have limited familiarity with them. We had to request references to substantiate their experience and capacity. And none of them were comparable magnitude to the Monroe and Harry Street project. So I have concerns about that. The second paragraph where we go on to, and I'd like an explanation. It's about $1 million less than what the number 2 and number 3 are. But my other concern is that it does not include, it didn't include any experience that they acted in capacity as a general contractor. And it's phrased here in the report, which is a key requirement for this contract. So it appears they weren't able to meet that key component. Am I correct on that? And then I'll have a follow-up.
Turn it over to manager.
Through you to Mayor, I guess just on the last one, so yes, that's correct. None of their references had them acting as a general contractor, which would be their role for this project.
Councillor McDonald?
Thank you. And then I'll go to page 3 and the second paragraph down, and we specify them again in terms of, because of the issues that they don't have a general contract capacity or history with regard to that, that we should have, they should be subject to appropriate contract administration and oversight measures to mitigate the identified risks. And we even had to put that caveat in there, but my only issue with that is that caveat should be for all of them, no matter what we do. But in the report, it's very specific to the number one who won the tender. So I have concerns, and I don't know if the manager wants to speak further with regard to them. But to me, I don't want to use the word red flags, but there's some concerns I have. And if you can elaborate a bit more, or if anyone else wants to jump in.
Through you, Mayor. So as for the contract administration stuff, I know some consultants that we use for our contract administration services have working relationships like we do to some contractors. And based on those relationships, sometimes a varying level of supervision or administration is required. I guess having no prior work experience with the MU, I think that clause was just in there, or that paragraph was in there to identify that staff are taking the appropriate measures to ensure that any concerns we have are accounted for.
Councillor McDonald.
Thank you, Mayor. And I guess I'd just like to open up to the floor. I'm interested in other opinions here too. Thank you.
Councillor Sabowski.
Thank you, through you, Mayor, and thank you, Councillor McDonald. You've probably touched on most of my items, but I will use the word red flags. I think there's a few in here. I have no issue awarding contracts to new contractors. That's how we build good relationships. This is a major contract, though. This is one of the big ones. We know it's been something that's needed, and it's a big artery that lots of infrastructure comes to. So I'm not in love with the idea of a new contractor that we haven't dealt with on such a large item. So therefore, I'm going to say we're not comparing apples to apples between the three contractors that are presented. The red flags, obviously, we just spoke to it with the absence of some of the general contracting work. The separation in the proposed costs, that's a red flag. It's not 50,000, it's not 100,000, it's $1 million difference. And I'm not the guy that wants to sit here and say, let's spend an extra $1 million because of a name brand. But $1 million difference from one contractor to the next, and especially when you look at 2 and 3, they are within that 50,000 or less. So I just feel that this particular company has done a good job in meeting expectations, and I feel that maybe we should give them an opportunity somewhere, but not necessarily in this particular position. This is a big job. I understand it's a big dig. We're running storm sewers from one end of Monroe back towards Lawrence Street. It's quite deep. And did they miss something? Did they just not necessarily understand just because of their lack of experience? And not because I don't trust them. It's there's something about a name brand sometimes, and we might be missing out on a great opportunity here, but I don't think it's apples to apples in this one, and I would be more inclined to ask for number 2 or 3 as compared to number 1. There's my input.
Councillor Anderdick.
Thank you, Mayor Sinian, through you. So I'll spin it a little, maybe I'll be devil's advocate here. Every company starts somewhere, right? And just because they're $1 million lower doesn't mean they're not capable of the work. Are there red flags? Maybe. Are there yellow flags? Maybe they're yellow flags, and we just want to go with cautious. I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence because we all know this needs to get done. It has to get done. And I don't want to put the staff on the spot on camera, so I don't think it's fair to ask them the questions I really want to. I'd like to put a motion on the floor and defer this for 2 weeks, please.
Okay. Do I have a seconder for that? Councillor McDonald? Any further discussion? Councillor Sabowski?
Thank you. Mayor Sidney, and if we defer, what's the impact for timeline? And also too, if possible, the other contractors that have put a bid in, what would be their expected start date? If that information could be provided, just to give context of what the whole scope is if we happen to make a change.
Through you, Mayor. I guess kind of option 3 kind of speaks to what you guys are currently discussing. Deferring this 2 weeks does put the project at risk of possibly not happening in 2026. The project is anticipated to take the complete summer, starting in June. Obviously, the contractor's going to need some time to order materials and do their prep work. So that's why we originally had the recommendation for it to go from committee to council this evening. I guess I'm not saying it can't be deferred. I'm just saying it does put the project at risk for a possible delay.
I have a question for the treasurer. So let's just hypothetically say we decide on option 2, which is $1 million more. What impact does that have? That's obviously an impact, but like as far as our budget and everything, that's, you know, what's that going to do? Throw you on the spot.
No, so we had budgeted for like the full scope of a project, so all 3 bids are within the budget. So either would still fulfill without any further scope changes or change orders.
I just wanted that to be publicly stated. Oh, yes. So do we have the motion to defer is on the table? Sorry, my bad. Do we have a seconder for that motion? Yes. We do? Oh, sorry, yes, Councillor McDonald. Any further discussion on the defer? Councillor McDonald.
Through you, Mayor, and I'm just wondering, Stevenson, I think we spanned it over, or did we get it done by the fall? Was that spanned over the winter for the final coat? My question is, can this be a 2-staged component? If we're worried about timelines right now, is this something that can be worked out in terms of 26, 27?
Manager?
Through you, Mayor, I'd have to get back with an exact answer. The majority of the work is going to be underground work, which is going to take, I believe, the majority of the time. Using Stevenson for an example, you know, maybe not doing top lift paving is an option. It does come at an additional expense, but it could be an option. I would have to get back to council.
Just a quick question, sorry, Councillor Sabowski. We do have a meeting on May 5th, a special meeting of council on May 5th, which is next Tuesday. If it could be deferred to that, how much would that jeopardize it?
Through you, Mayor, I guess that would jeopardize it 1 week. I know I said 2 weeks could have a big impact, and I stand by that. I think that's a reasonable accommodation.
Councillor Sabowski?
Yeah, thank you. Through you, Mayor. Just trying to get my head around it. Like, I'm trying to think past from the years that this group has sat here. We haven't had many opportunities to be making a decision in April to start construction. We've been very much behind, which has put us late in the season for construction and potentially has created other issues and a lapse. There's a potential, and I could be argued that we're getting maybe best value right now. We're first to the, first one to get their contract going, and they're offering to start right away. It's a nice privilege. It's something that we might not want to throw away. Like, I think that we could figure this out here now. Again, I'm going to be a little bit of a bully and say I don't really want to defer it. We need to figure out what contractor to go with and get the work started. An extra week, what's going to change?
Councillor Anderdick?
Thank you, Mayor Sidney, through you. I'm going to agree with Councillor Spolsky. I think we need to hatch this out. That road needs to be fixed. We can't. If the only time I've saw hesitation in our staffs tonight is when we talk about deferring it. They're stressed out. You can see it in their face and their body language. So we need to make this decision tonight. So this is what I'm going to say. $1 million extra is like 8% on our tax levy. That's a lot. I know we're budgeted. We're borrowing the money for this. So what say we hire another company to do it, and then something happens, and then we're all going to say, oh, we should have went with the lower bid. And then if something happens to the lower bid, we're all going to say, oh, we should have went with the higher bid. So we're losing either way here, but we're winning because we're getting a new road and we're getting fixed. I'm going to support option number 1. That is where I'm going to vote. Thanks.
So first of all, we got to vote on the defer, because there's a mover and a seconder.
Sorry.
So I'm going to call for a vote on deferring it to the 5th. All in favor? Opposed? Okay, defeated. Sorry.
I just repeat everything I just said. Thank you.
It's okay. Councillor McDonald.
Thank you. So we're back to the original motion, right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Mayor, through you, and I guess I'm directing it towards the manager. Can you speak to the confidence you have with regard to option 1 in terms of your selection? You're the individuals that have dealt with this company. Can you speak to that, please?
Manager?
My response to that would be, I guess everything is outlined in the background section of the report.
And thank you to the manager for that. And so when I direct council's attention to the letters of recommendation, there were some pretty rudimentary steps in trenching, in water taking permits, in traffic, in providing alternative sources of water to houses. And I think the most they had were 8. We're looking at 42. And so what I would suggest to you is that I think this company needed a lot of direction from the project manager. And again, going back to Councillor Sobolski's comments, yes, you know, I like to see us get competitive bids. I'm a little concerned about the $900 million gap and the $1 million gap with their lack of experience and the seemingly, at that time, in all of the projects, they needed a lot of direction. So I don't know that I want to have them take on this larger project with a fairly substantial dig. We all know about clay in that neighborhood. And we know that there could be something else happen. When we did the front part of Monroe back a few years ago, we found a big rock, and then all of a sudden it had to be taken out, and we had to direct down in behind in that ravine and shove riprap everywhere. That was an extra $100,000 to do. So there's always something that's unforeseen. I don't want it stalled because this company doesn't have the expertise to take on something a little larger if the scope changes. So I'm not in favor of option 1. I'd be more likely to vote for option 2.
You, Mayor. So I guess it's before the director. So all the companies who put in a bid were given the same information, same plans. This is what we have. Staff have done their due diligence about what's under the ground, what needs to be done. All of them have the same information based and bid on that. I shouldn't assume anything, but I'm assuming you have the best contract that if something happens, there's an issue with this company failing to meet their obligations, there's some kind of clawback or some financial repercussion that can be taken out so that we can complete the project with another company if that's needed. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
So, if I may. So I think that it's probably because there's $1 million difference that we're all going, oh my God, like, can these guys do the project? If they came in at 300,000 less than everybody else, we wouldn't be probably even having this conversation. I think it just seems that it might be one of those too good to believe deals. At the same point, they do have credentials. I've looked through their information, and I would, to Councillor Dick's point, everybody's got to start somewhere. People have, they must have confidence in what they're doing. Obviously, they meet all the criteria. We have all our bells and whistles in place. I have no problem with going forward, knowing that our staff have given due diligence to give them all the information they need to do the project, the same as they would with anybody else. As my fellow councillors know, we're always in the back of our minds this having an overrun, which we're hoping never have again, but things do happen when you get into the ground. So I'm in favor of going ahead with option 1. So that being said.
Councillor Cebulski.
Thank you. Through you, Mayor. I'm just gonna throw some stuff out there that's bouncing around my head, and the reason why I have a bit of an argument to number 1. This team hasn't proven to us that they can take on this scale of project. And I would look at that, it's not because they're not skilled or that they don't have bright young engineers or operators. I look at it at the cost of the equipment. We know how much a front end loader is worth, we buy them. We know how much an excavator is worth, we buy them. What kind of equipment are these gonna show up? Are they gonna show up with brand new trucks that are reliable, brand new equipment? And like, I know for a fact for a contracting company like Kavanaugh, they're running a fuel bill of $500,000 a month. When they put an order in for the pipe and they start leveraging themselves, they haven't proven to us that they can handle a $5 million project. They've proven to us they can handle 1.5. This is a lot bigger deal. You start bringing in storm sewer pipe and all the different nuts and bolts it takes to do this. You start filling the trucks with fuel. You start bringing the triaxles in and moving stuff. And we don't know that this company can get to the end of a project of this scale. They can't prove that to us. We're putting a lot of money, a lot of faith in to get to Councillor McWhirter's point, a third in, and they're putting in a progress draw through the engineers, and we're going, there's no way that we can pay the next progress draw because you're just not that far because they're leveraged on money. They just don't have the cash flow to do it. I don't want to put ourselves in a spot where we pick someone that just doesn't have the capital to do this size of project. That's what scares me. And then all of a sudden the project isn't done on time. There's no one on site because they've packed their stuff up to go do a project worth 150 or 250,000 to get enough money to come back to keep working for Renfrew. This is the reason why I said we're not comparing apples to apples here. These guys haven't proven to us that they can take this size of a project on, regardless of $1 million savings or not. So I am not in favor of the company. I would love to work with them and get the opportunity on a smaller scale where they can prove to us, but I know for a fact that the other 2 companies have the backing to get the project done on the timelines that we set. That's where my apples to apples comparison comes from. Thank you.
Just a quick question and more of a reminder to everybody. What's the procurement policy say when we put out contracts like this? What does it recommend?
Through you, Mayor, maybe Treasurer Hodge can confirm, but to my knowledge, it is to go with the low bid. That is why we had that recommendation in this report, but we have identified the risks associated with awarding to the low bid.
Perfect. Councilor McWhirter.
You, Mayor. So I have two. One's a sort of a statement. If you guys, my fellow councillors would have, and I'm sure you probably did, you read who the project manager is. There was some talk about whether they've ever done that scope of a project before, and clearly the project manager, he did Montreal Road, $40 million, Laverne and rehabilitation, $12 million. There's a number of items here that he was project manager for that are fairly big contracts from what I can see. Perhaps the company he is now with hasn't done as many projects, but maybe that's why he's with them, or maybe he started his own company and it's a fairly new company that hasn't had the opportunity to do the bigger contracts yet. But clearly, the project manager does have the experience and expertise. And secondly, is there any repercussions not going with the lowest bid, like any legal, if we were to go with a higher bid when this company meets the criteria?
Director Bishop?
Through you, Mayor, I'm not exactly sure on the procurement policy side what the legal implications would be. I'm not sure if Treasurer Hodge can comment on that, but I can take a look in the background here.
Will you guys, Treasurer?
Sorry, can you repeat that question? Or the what the information you're looking for?
If we don't take the lowest bid, is there any legal ramifications based on our procurement policy?
I'm just scanning it now.
Okay. So I'll go.
Yeah.
Will you guys do that, Councilor McDonald?
Thank you, Mayor, through you. And I'd argue that they, and correct me if I'm wrong though, that they didn't meet the criteria, because it states right in paragraph 2 on page 2, the capacity of a general contractor, which is a key requirement for this contract, they did not meet. And then we identify that there's some risk. I'd take out some and I'd just put risk. There's a risk with respect to this. So I don't think they met the criteria, but I don't have any intimate knowledge, but it's, I'll leave it at that, I guess. Mayor?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just like, if we're going to say something's a key requirement, then I think we should honor that, and it states right in the narrative here that they weren't able to meet that.
Director Bishop?
Through you, Mayor. So a key requirement, as noted here in this report, would be to meet, to provide experience references, including projects of similar magnitude, which I agree, in their references they haven't. And to Councillor McWhirter's point, there is references, but not from this company. They may have started this new company that hasn't had that experience yet, but some of their prior experience with other companies is evident in their references. But that to be said, this company itself has not met the conditions of the tender contract. I don't know exactly in the procurement policy how this works for legal implications, because it's not a situation where we can score. It's not an RFP, it's a tender. So we are just looking at the price versus experience and all of the other things that we can score on in a proposal.
All right. What if we take a 5-minute recess just to give the treasurer some time to look up some things? So we are in recess at 7:24 and we will return at 7:30. Welcome back, everybody. Thank you for that break to give staff time to review some things. I'd like to turn it over to our treasurer.
Thank you. Through you, Mayor. Taking a look at the procurement policy, and I'm just going to reference 3 particular points of the policy. Under goals, under 2H, it reads, consider the total procurement value rather than the lowest bid while preserving best value for municipal dollars. And then it notes this includes but is not limited to such factors as repairs, staff training, suitability, comparability, warranty, disposal, and life cycle costs. Under prescribed council approval, 4.2, it says, despite any other provision of this policy, the following contracts are subject to council approval and report to council. And under E, it says, consider the total procurement value rather than the lowest bid while preserving best value for municipal dollars. This includes, oh no, sorry, that was the part I just noted, I think. Repeats it. Factors of repairs, staff training, suitability, comparative, warranty, disposal, life cycle costs. And then specifically under procurement method, number 7 for tenders, it says under E, it says request for tender. The request for tender is typically awarded to the lowest priced bidder who satisfies all specifications requirements included in the request for tender.
Perfect. All right, Councillor McDonald, do you want to?
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you for that information. And I think it's important to note that all 3 that are before us today have come under a budget in terms of what we budgeted for. Am I correct on that? And I thought I caught somewhere that the one that we've been, in terms of some of the flags that have come up, whether they're yellow or red, I think from what I read earlier that the business has only been in since 2022. Am I correct on that?
Through you, Mayor, yes, that is correct.
Revimo?
I'd like to make a motion that Committee of the Whole recommends that Renfrew Town Council authorize staff to proceed with the award of the Monroe-Harry reconstruction project to Thomas Cavanaugh Construction Limited at the tender price of $4,515,000, excluding HST.
Do we have a seconder for that? Councillor McDonald. Any discussion on that motion? Councillor Andrew Dick.
Thank you, Mayor Sidney, and through you. So I'm not in favor with going with this new amended motion. I understand my fellow councillors' concerns. I value their advice. I've heard what they said, and I just feel, I think any way we go with this, we are going, it's like an umpire or referee. Half's going to love us, half's going to hate us. I'm going to follow the process that's in place. I'm going to vote against this amended motion. Thank you.
Any other comments about this motion? All right. I will call for the vote, please. All in favor of this motion? Opposed? That is defeated. So now we go back to the original motion. So I'll read the motion again.
This one should not have happened that way. We're here now.
All right, so we'll go back to the original motion that the Committee of the Whole recommend that Renfrew Town Council authorize staff to proceed with the award of the Monroe-Harry reconstruction project to Lemieux Excavating Inc. in the amount of $3,497,000 excluding HST. There's already a mover and a seconder, so I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Opposed? And we're back to the same thing if it's defeated. Councillor McDonald.
I'm interested in the input from the manager. With regard to option 3, which is to put it over to next year, I understand it needs to be done. I'm fully supportive of that, as we all are. But can you give us some input if we go that route?
It's already on the...
I'm sorry.
Clerk.
Mayor Sidney, if I may, this is dead. We have voted on it. It's dead. It's done. We are not paving the street this year. Well, we're not paving it tonight.
I'm going to turn it over to the clerk for clarification.
Through you, Mayor Cindy. So I think there was a procedural error that happened through the first part when a motion was put on the table and voted on prior to the original motion being dealt with. So now we're in a situation where we've got two motions, basically eliminating the decision at hand, which also then does provide a problem with regards to deferring it. I, however, do see Revimo seems to have something. I do think that we need to figure out a path forward. I might need a moment.
I do apologize, that was my error. Revimo? Did you have this one?
I'll be honest with you, I was going to make the following motion. The Committee of the Whole recommends that Renfrew Town Council authorize staff to proceed with the award of Monroe-Harry reconstruction project to BEI Inc. at the tendered price of $4,548,026.67, excluding HST. Because that's the only other option. Vote that down, we don't do it. Nice box we painted ourselves into.
So let's just regroup. So we have a motion on the floor. So I need a seconder.
I'll second it to get on the table, but I do have a question, Mayor.
Okay. All right, so it's on the table. Any questions?
I do have a question.
Yes.
Thank you, Mayor, through you. And clerk, just if you need to jump in here, can you just clarify why option number 3, I know we're talking about Kavanaugh, I get that, but why is option 3 not applicable anymore? I don't think we voted on that earlier. I just want to clarify before we vote on this one that the Reeves put up.
Through you, Mayor. So if I'm correct, and I'm going to look at staff, only because I can't pull up the report at the moment, option 1 was to proceed with the lowest bid. Option 2 was to proceed with the second lowest bid, or to proceed with another alternative. Okay, so an alternative. And option 3 was defer.
No, option 3 was do not award this time.
So if option 3 is do not award at this time, then that is technically still open. The defer would have, if it was to defer the recommendation on the table, then it would have been off. But to Revimo's point, if the alternative, because the original, so you put forward one name as a construction, an alternative name can be put forward still as a motion as well.
So that motion is on the table.
So the BEI, no, did I say that? Yes, is on the table currently.
Mayor?
Councillor McDonald.
Thank you. And with regard to that, I wanted to bring it on the table, Reeve, just so we could talk about it. So I'm able to clarify in my mind the difference between option 1 and option 2. But now we're getting into the fine nuances with regard to 2 and 3. And I don't have any clarification why I would vote for 3. The third, do you know where I'm going with this? The third contractor compared to the second one. And I'm thinking, do we need to be careful there? So
the difference is, in essence, for this, $32,900 is the difference, and we get the project done this year. I'm not sure the public's going to swallow, and rightly so, and I'm not sure, as a member of the traveling public, I'm going to swallow Monroe being held up one more year because we can't figure a way forward. That's where I'm at. I was comfortable going with Kavanaugh, but I am comfortable going with Boncher Excavating because it's only $33,000 extra roughly, which I know is a lot of money, but it's not the same as putting it off till next year or retendering or whatever we have to do, because I sense that if we decide to retender, everybody's going to run for Rasmussen, and we're going to be in trouble with some of the other bidders. So that's all I'm saying is this makes sense for $33,000 extra to get the job done this year. That allows us then to move down Harry Street like we've talked about, and move towards Hall in the future. So it's necessary work. It has to be done at some point. Will it cost $33,000 more next year if it waits another year? I can't tell you that, but with the ongoing Donald Trump tax with the state of Vermouth, I'm pretty sure it will cost more for fuel.
Councillor Spolsky.
Thank you. Through you, Mayor. My turn to speak out loud and get my head around this. With Reeve Emo's proposal, he's put a name of a contractor on the docket for us to vote about. But when I look back at the original options, one was to proceed with Lemieux Excavation. Two was to proceed with an award to an alternative bidder. So that's what Reeve Emo has on here. But number 3 is do not award. Now I understand in the implications of do not award, it says that this will be pushed off till next year. But can that also not mean just do not award tonight and this could be brought back to the table at an alternate time? Can we change the way that verbiage is if just...
So I'm just going to jump in here before I turn it over to the clerk because I want to make sure I'm right. We are in committee of the whole. So we can't make a decision. Anyway, this is council's decision and goes to council tonight. But there could be an option in there to direct staff to bring back further information on May 5th. And I'll turn it over to the clerk to make sure I did that correctly.
Through you, Mayor. So on the governance perspective, you are correct. We are in committee of the whole. Ultimately, the decision lies with council, and the plan was to formalize whatever committee of the whole decided right now, later on in the council meeting. Considering the situation we're currently in, there is a motion on the table to consider BEI as the contractor. To Councillor Sobalski's point is that if the wording of option 3 is to not award, that can be discussed, and direction could be given in committee of the whole for staff to bring back more information. As I stated before, it does seem to be that there will be a scheduled special meeting on May 5th. I do not have all the details at that point. However, if it is council's desire, we could add this topic to it. But I will emphasize the fact that we currently have a motion on the floor that needs to be addressed.
Just to confirm I'm tracking right, we have a motion on the floor, which I get. Then we can, depending on what happens with it, but then we have to wait for this results before we go with Councillor Sobalski's idea, correct?
Yeah, we vote on it and it's awarded and carries on.
Okay.
So I'm prepared to offer a motion that we defer until May the 5th and give staff more time to get back to us with some alternatives.
That compromises us. That means you can only discuss the BEI contract. Because it's
yeah.
So if we happen to defeat Sorry.
Councillor Spolsky.
Thank you. Reeve Emo, if we were to defer, it would be defer in the BEI, and that would be the only discussion that we could have on the deferred meeting, if I'm correct. If we were to potentially defeat the BEI and we went to motion 3, we could talk about this entire package again. Is that the way I understand it?
Yeah. Clerk?
Through you, Mayor. Maybe what I'm going to do is clarify what Reeve Emo is looking to defer, his wording, if he would like to defer this conversation to the next meeting.
What I'm trying to do is get this to another meeting with the understanding that staff have some options to take a look at what we've accomplished tonight or not accomplished, and is there a way of extricating us to get us back to a spot where we make an informed decision?
Through you, Mayor, so maybe amending to say alternative contractor in your original motion?
Sure, I will do that.
And then defer that to, so there's an amending motion, if he wants to move that to replace the word BEI.
Sure, I will.
With alternative contractor?
Perfect, thank you.
And Councilor McDonald, you okay with that? Because you're the seconder, right on? Yes. Okay, you're okay with that. All right, so.
Now defer. Now motion.
And now there's a motion to defer.
All right, seconder for that. Councilor McDonald. Any further discussion? Councilor Andrew Dick.
Thank you, Mayor, Cindy, and through you. So when we say alternate contractor, we could mean one of these three. All right. So I just want to make a comment. I was super uncomfortable with the way this played out. And I'm glad we're deferring it, because now I think we're going to go back to the drawing table. We're going to have conversations. Staff's going to do some due diligence, and we're going to come back and have another wholesome discussion on Tuesday, May 5th. I think that's very important for all of us, council, mayor, Reeve, and staff. So you know where I'm going. I want to vote yes.
You?
I also request that the clerk send out some literature on reconsideration. Thank you.
Any further discussion on the defer? All in favor? That's carried. Thank you, Council. Moving on to legislative services. The Renfrew Town Council adopted the 2026 Citizen of the Year Award Working Group Terms of Reference, appoint one member of council to the working group, direct the CAO to appoint one staff member, and further authorize the appointed member of council and staff member to select the remaining 3 members of the working group who shall serve as the selection committee for the 2026 Citizen of the Year Award. Mover, please. Councilor McDonald, seconded by Councilor McWhirter. And I'll turn it over to the clerk. Oh, sorry. Coordinator McMillan, my bad.
Hi. Sorry, through you, Mayor. Sorry, the Monroe-Harry reconstruction, this is a hard act to follow. It's a much smaller budget and an easier award for you guys, I hope. But yeah, I'm just bringing back our Citizen of the Year awards will once again be taking place this year on Canada Day. Last year was the first year that the town had taken these awards over from the Chamber of Commerce when they gave them up because they were moving, more towards catering to businesses. So the town did them last year as part of our Canada Day celebrations. We're looking to do the exact same thing again this year. They were very well received. We had a great committee that was established, and we had some really great nominations. So just looking for council's approval to move forward with that. Just to highlight, the budget line for this is a small budget line of $1,000 that was approved in the 2026 capital budget. That's really just for the trophies for the winners. And that's everything.
Great, thank you. Any questions? All in favor? That's carried. Thank you, Council. That the Committee of the Whole receive the Restricted Acts and Delegation of Authority bylaw report as information, and further that the Committee of the Whole recommends that the Renfrew Town Council adopt the proposed delegation of authority during Restricted Acts period bylaw. Mover, please. Councilor McDonald, seconded by Councilor McWhirter, and I'll turn it over to Clerk Garrett.
Okay, and through you, Mayor. So the purpose of this report is to provide an overview of the Restricted Acts, which is very commonly referred to as lame duck, provisions under Section 275 of the Municipal Act, and it explains the when and how these restrictions may be triggered following the close of nomination day on August 21st, 2026, and or following the results of the 2026 municipal election, which will be held on October 26th. This report provides council with consideration of a delegation of authority bylaw, which is pursuant to section 23.1 of the Municipal Act, which does allow for continued administration with limited municipal business only if council becomes subject to these Restriction Act provisions. So following nomination day, which again I've noted as August 21st, 2026, if it becomes apparent then less than 3/4, which is 70% of the current members of council will form the next council, the Restricted Act does get triggered and will remain in effect until the end of the current term of council. So just so everybody's clear on what that actually is, we have a council composed of 7. So if 5 or fewer of the current members of council will form any part of the incoming council for the next term, council would be considered subject to the Restricted Act. So as part of Section 275, council is prohibited from undertaking the following actions during this period, which is appointing or removing any officer of the municipality, hiring or dismissing any employee of the municipality, disposing of any real or personal property of the municipality that with a value exceeding $50,000, and making any expenditure or incurring any liability that exceeds $50,000. So these restrictions are statutory and apply automatically once the prescribed conditions are met. So council retains all other decision-making authority not exclusively identified in the Act. The Restricted Act provisions do not apply to any matters that have already been formally approved by council prior to the commencement of the Restricted Act period. And most, I would say, is that any of the matters that were identified already in the 2026 budget and approved previously by council. The Restricted Act provisions allow for apply only to new decisions or actions that would otherwise require council's approval during the Restricted Act period and that exceed the statutory thresholds set out in Section 275, which I've just stated. The town of Renfrew is also subject to the strong mayor powers and duties provisions under Part 6 of the Municipal Act. Based on guidelines that we've been kind of provided through the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing, the town's position on these powers would be similar and therefore limited during the Restricted Act period. However, I would strongly say that council should seek further legal opinion should a circumstance arise during the Restricted Act period where the exercise of strong mayor powers is complicated. The proposed delegation of authority during the Restricted Act period bylaw, which is attached to this report, provides a narrow and limited scope of delegation strictly related to the matters that have been identified in the Section 275, which I've already stated. The bylaw applies only during the period when council is subject to the Restricted Act provisions, and the delegated authority to the Chief Administrative Officer will, where it's appropriate, will be required to report to council and will not expand the municipal authority beyond what council itself can otherwise lawfully exercise. So this report is presented to ensure council is informed on the legislative framework, but also provide opportunity for the bylaw to be reviewed and brought forward for council's consideration.
Any questions? Hearing none. All in favor? Carried. Right. Moving on. The Renfrew Town Council rise from the Committee of the Whole. Mover, please. Councillor McDonald, seconded by Councillor Sobalski. All in favor? We are at a Committee of the Whole at 8 o'clock. Moving on, there's no items for consideration. H, items for information, not just information. Anybody want to discuss any of those? Revimo?
Thank you. I think we should seriously consider asking staff to bring forward a motion with regards to Prince Edward County's motion. I would remind council that the OPP signed a contract in 2023, which resulted in a significant raise in our policing costs and all policing costs across Ontario. And then after some pressure, the government agreed to the ceiling of 11% each year following that. This contract ends at the end of this year, 2026. So I'm not suggesting any ulterior motives, but it's possible that the government is hoping that everybody gets consumed with the municipal election and loses sight of the end of that. And so policing costs are not likely to go down. Again, there's the cost of operating. As is well known, the OPP have a clause in their collective agreement that they're always going to be the highest paid police force in Ontario. And so what happens is London, Toronto, and the OPP leapfrog each other with contracts, and they, by amazing coincidence, always run out at some point in the middle of each other's, and they go up 4 or 5% all the time. So costs are not going to go down. And there's not going to be services are not going to be diminished in the next contract. So I would suggest to you that it's valuable for us to request staff to prepare a motion supporting this.
Yeah. Through you, Mayor. So just so if I've captured this correctly, that Renfrew Town Council support Prince Edward County's motion regarding sustainable police services, police service funding, and direct staff to bring forward a motion to the next meeting of council.
Please.
Seconder on that? Councillor Zabalski, all in favor? That's carried. Thank you, Council. Any other information? Hearing none. Going on to confirmation of minutes.
Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
The blue box correspondence, they highlight exactly the issues we have, and if possible, if we get Acting Director Springer to offer us some insight, in the future about this again. They talk about the ICI stream not being funded, and they also go so far as to suggest that smaller commercial enterprises, I'm guessing corner stores, should receive some assistance to process empties. Again, that's a significant issue in some smaller towns where Brewers retails are closing, and where do people take their empties? So again, if we could get some information on that down the road. And I think we spend $200,000 a year more than we'd planned on to supply these services to the ICI sector of our community. So that's not a cost that I don't think anybody ever anticipated.
Through you, Mayor, that Renfrew Town Council directs staff to bring forward a report. Sorry, I need to proofread. That Renfrew Town Council directs staff to bring forward a report as it relates to the concerns noted in the Municipality of Blue Water's motion regarding amending Ontario Regulation 391-21 Blue Box.
Seconder, Councillor McDonald, any questions? All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Moving on to confirmation of minutes. That the Council of the Corporation of the Town of Renfrew confirm the minutes of the regular meeting of Council dated April 14th, 2026, the special meeting of Council dated April 14th, and the closed meeting minutes of April 14th, 2026, understanding that they remain confidential. Mover, please. Councillor McDonald, seconded by Councillor McWhorter. Clerk Garrett, you have something you want to add?
Yes, through you, Mayor. I actually would like to note for Council's attention that I have not yet circulated the closed meeting minutes of April 14th, understanding that they do remain confidential to the public. If there is a member of Council who may want to put forward an amendment to simply remove that one section, they will come forward to at the next meeting.
Councillor McDonald, you want to make a motion to amend it, to remove that? Seconded by Revimo. Any discussion? All in favor? So now we go back to that the Council of the Corporation of the Town of Renfrew confirm the minutes of the regular meeting of Council dated April 14th, 2026, the special meeting of Council dated April 14th. That's it. Right? A mover, please. Review. Oh, sorry, it's already moved. All right. All in favor? Carried. Matters arising from Committee of the Whole. The Renfrew Town Council adopt the final resolutions considered in the Committee of the Whole on April 14th, 2026. 1, that Renfrew Town Council repeal and replace the Waste Management Bylaw 103-2024, and that the revised bylaw be brought forward for adoption. 2, the Renfrew Town Council approve the recommended changes to the accountability and transparency policy, and further that the appropriate bylaw be brought forward for adoption. 3, that Renfrew Town Council approve the recommended changes to the public notice policy, and further that the appropriate bylaw be brought forward for adoption. Mover, please. Councilor McWhorter, seconded by Councilor Zabalski. All in favor? That's carried. Matters arising from the Committee of the Whole.
Refresh. Okay.
Oh.
Should see it as refreshed.
Yep. That Renfrew Town Council adopt the final resolutions considered in the Committee of the Whole on April 28, 2026. E-2-1, that Renfrew Town Council adopt the OPA number 16 as amended with comments from the Algonquins of Ontario, and that the amending bylaw be brought forward to Council for adoption, and further that staff be directed to forward the adopted OPA number 16 to the County of Renfrew for approval. E-3-1, that Renfrew Town Council execute a letter of agreement with the Ministry of Transportation to receive the 2026 dedicated gas tax funding of $245,313 in support of public transportation, and further the town's grant to Sunshine Coach of $15,000 for each 2025 and 2026 be completed. Mover, please. Councilor McWhorter, seconded by Councilor Andrew Dick. All in favor? Carried. Thank you, Council. Bylaws. That the bylaws listed on the agenda of April 28, 2026 be read a first, second, and third time and passed. 2026-31, adopt and revise the accountability and transparency policy. 2026-32, adopt a revised public notice policy. 2026-33, 2026 dedicated gas tax letter of agreement. And 2026-34, agreement to purchase and sale 210 Ready Avenue. Mover, please. Revimo, second by Councilor McDonald. Any further discussion? All in favor? That's carried. Motions of which notice have been given. Whereas the Economic Development Advisory Committee was established to provide advice and recommendations to Council related to economic development and tourism in the town of Renfrew, and whereas the committee has provided valuable input, identified initiatives, and supported meaningful discussions that has contributed to the improvement in how the town approach economic development and tourism, and whereas the current term of Council is nearing completion and it is appropriate for the incoming Council to determine the strategic priorities and preferred advisory structures related to the economic development and tourism. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Renfrew Town Council approved the disbandment of the Economic Development Advisory Committee following the completion of a final wrap-up meeting, and the committee be authorized to hold a final meeting at its regular meeting time on Tuesday, May 12, 2026, for the purpose of summarizing its work, recognizing the contributions of its members, and that the Economic Development Advisory Committee be formally disbanded effective following the May 12, 2026 meeting. Mover, please. Councillor Zabalski, seconded by Revimo. Councillor Zabalski, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, thank you. Through you, Mayor. Yeah, it's coming to an end, unfortunately, for this term, and these committees do that. Unfortunately, it's a little earlier than we anticipated. The attrition rate's been higher than anticipated for our membership that does contribute. But that said, I do believe it was a success. We had some growing pains and great presenters over the course of it, but at the end, with our closeout meeting, we're going to go through all the highlights and all the items that we feel have gained, some really great conversations and traction, and I do believe that we are going to leave this group, this committee, with a good, wholesome package that can be brought forward to the next group in the next term of council. And I really look forward to the continued work, and just want to thank the group for the opportunity for letting me chair it. I learned a lot. It was really enjoyable, and it'll be sad to see it go on May 12th, but all good things come to an end.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions or comments? All in favor? That's carried. Any notices of motion? Councillor McDonald.
Thank you, Mayor. I plan to bring forward a motion to request that staff provide council with high-level information at an appropriate time related to the use of external subject matter expertise in a municipal context for strategic consideration as part of the next term of council. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to the confirmatory bylaw. The Renfrew Town Council adopt the confirmatory bylaw 2026-35, and that it be read a first, second, and third time and finally passed. Mover, please. Rebimo, second by Councillor McWhirter. Any discussion? All in favor? That's carried. Upcoming meetings of council: special closed session meeting on May 5th at 10 a.m. Regular council meeting May 12th, 2026 at 5:30. Economic Development Advisory Committee May 12th, 2026 at 10 a.m. And we are adjourned at 8:12. Thank you, council.